Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to yet another insightful session of the Glass Academy webinars. Today, we are diving into a topic that's not just timely but also crucial for the future of architecture and design, which is sustainability and glass in the Indian context, with a focus on retrofit, improving efficiency in existing buildings with the right options. As architects and designers, we are at the forefront of addressing some of the most pressing challenges of our time: environmental sustainability and energy efficiency. With India's rich architectural heritage, rapidly expanding urban fabric, and a growing emphasis on green design, the role of materials like glass has never been more significant. Glass offers a unique intersection of functionality, aesthetics, and sustainability, making it an essential component in crafting spaces that are more energy efficient and visually inspiring. Our today's session will also explore the power of retrofitting, a transformative approach to upgrading existing buildings. With the right strategies and material choices, retrofitting can dramatically enhance the energy performance of older structures, reducing their environmental footprint while preserving their essence. To guide us through these fascinating topics, we are honored to have with us today Dr. Architect Anshul P. Gujarathi, founder and director of Eco Solutions Pune. With over 24 years of experience, she brings extensive expertise in green architecture, environment, and sustainability, backed with all the green credentials and right qualifications. Eco Solutions is a pioneering firm in the realm of environmental architecture, sustainability, and eco-friendly practices related to green certifications, net zero, life cycle assessments, energy assessment, carbon monitoring and management, solar passive design, and eco land planning concept design. Eco Solutions has been proudly engaged with the sustainability mission with over 570 plus green projects till date, with clientele including leading national and international names. Many allocates, including the 2022 World Green Building Council for Women in Sustainability Award runner-up at Asia Pacific level, was conferred upon Dr. Anshul and Eco Solutions. Her doctoral research, PhD, Cost Implications in Green Residential Buildings, addressed a major controversy of cost for green buildings. She is focused on delivering green, cost neutral, or cost beneficiary projects. Dr. Anshul has 15 white paper publications in international and national journals, along with an International Best Paper Award at ICAMA Thailand in 2015 and Paper Index in Skopje. A reviewer in the 𝐆𝐿 board and a regular writer for sustainable magazines and newspapers, she authored many articles in sustainable manuals. Green Garnish is Dr. Anshul's awareness handle to promote awareness and the right branding. The mission with Eco Solutions in Green Garnish is to apply a multidisciplinary approach to green buildings. Welcome, Dr. Anshul. We're thrilled to have you here with us today. So without further ado, I will now pass it over to you to begin your presentation. You may now please share your screen and present. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Anvita. And it is such a pleasure to actually talk on one of the most controversial is not the right word what we are talking here, but one of the most critical aspect with a lot of ambiguity, I would say, and a lot of background thoughts that emerge with this material called glass. Before I jump directly to the material glass, I would definitely take some time and mention few things about sustainability. We are actually talking the word sustainability with, I would say, not with great care, because we are trying to impose everything that comes along and related to sustainability. We are using it very, very casually, and we need to be much, much more careful with this word because it holds a lot and lot of meaning much behind the screen as well. Definitely, we are going to talk of retrofit and, of course, glass in a good way. Let's see what we have been doing since years together. So if I'm talking about the construction industry and I'm talking about the statistics, we realize that we are one of the largest contributors to overall country's footprint. And side by side, we keep talking about ESG, net zero, circularity, financing with regards to green. We are having also COP dedicated to that. And amongst all of this, material remains as one of the major impactive elements. Of course, if we see the real estate trends, we are realizing that there is an increase in the demand of green buildings. There are construction materials which are much, much more friendly in terms of their emissions, their recycling content, and many other things. We are having Green Pro and other certification programs relating to material also coming up in a big way. Of course, the developers, the CREDI, NAREDCO, and many other fields where developers are directly and other stakeholders are also directly engaged, they are being really, really careful in adoption of sustainable practices. And of course, the government is taking the initiatives in promoting sustainability. Government initiatives, if we just browse through, we have smart cities mission coming up, we have subsidies coming up with various aspects, implementation of RERA and detailed monitoring, and of course the green building code, along with lots and lots of incentives also planned in the way when it comes to government schemes. I don't want to miss ECSBC, that is Energy Conservation and Sustainability Building Code here, because also we are having high expectations with that. All of these are actually driving sustainability with regulatory policies, some kind of environmental concerns that are region specific and coming up very, very naively in a specific area. Of course, the consumer awareness and demand is going very high, and we have technological advancements. Of course, the SDGs all set and remind us again and again that how we have to go about it. I'm glad that many of the industries, corporate sectors are now directly getting engaged with registering of individual SDGs and working focused on them. If we just browse through 17 SDGs, 9 of them are directly connecting to green buildings and infrastructure, wherein sustainability lies as one of the major goals. Going further, we realize that there are some long-term risks also associated with the development, and it is not relating to one or two, but it's a multi-stakeholder risk that has come up. Amongst that, the environmental risk remains as one of the major ones, and we are actually facing extreme weathers. We are realizing disasters, which are natural and few man-made as well. We are anticipating a lot of biodiversity loss. Along with that, I would say the risk with the technological advancements are also coming up and surfacing a lot. We have realized water crisis in past few years, and now it's going worse. We have some kind of governance issues also coming up. And of course, economy is getting hurt because of this and coming up as a bubble. So looking at all these long-term risks, we really have to gear up for the challenges that are coming up in the next session. And we were once upon a time, yes, I am mentioning it, once upon a time, we were talking of 1.5 degrees, climate change, climate reversal, and all these kind of things. Today, we are talking of 2 degrees, 3 degrees, and even 4.5 degrees. If we see COP29 coming up with certain things and saying that we have to be bold on buildings, do we actually realize that how and where we are leading to with our technological, technical, and construction advancements? 1.5 degrees, this is the kind of drought we were anticipating. And with 3 degrees, we can actually project 10 months average length of drought. We can look at 1.5 degrees with 41% wildfires, which we are already facing. And with 3 degrees, we have anticipated 97% wildfires. Friends, this is no joke coming up here, and this is extremely serious. We have 1.5 degrees with 3% of ice-free Arctic, while with 3 degrees, 63%, which is again a very big number, which is coming up as projection. With 1.5 degrees, where we have 4% mammals losing their habitat, with 4.5 degrees, 41% mammals. And about butterflies also losing their habitat, 4% with 1.5 degrees, and with 4.5 degrees, 58% butterflies. And with all these numbers, we are going and racing with the AI, where technology is not only driving sustainability, but it is also giving us certain numbers, which are defining the impact, which is accelerating the process for certain efficient aspects, or maybe, giving us the right roadmap. And we often realize that with AI coming up big way, we are still working on social, economical, and environmental aspects and talking of sustainability in a smaller way. It's time for us to go from macro to micro and vice versa, from micro to macro. And of course, taking the tech-driven change, reshaping the industries, we have to drive sustainability in the most transparent way. Friends, when we talk of sustainable development, we are talking of balance. Balance between social, economical, and environmental aspects, minimizing the impact. Every small development we are doing, we are actually creating an impact. Energy efficiency over the entire life cycle emerges as one of the major and most important goal of sustainability. Few years ago, we were having buildings which retained for say 100 years, 150 years. I still have my heritage home, which is 150 years old. It is still standing. Today, we have apartments 25 years old and talking of redevelopment. We have structures with absolutely reduced life cycle. And that is why we have to look at a long-term perspective and impact with sustainable strategies, including passive as well as active design and technological and services aspects. When we are talking green building, we are actually looking at minimizing the impact, energy efficiency, reducing energy, water, and managing them to the best of it. Of course, talking of health, occupant health with enhanced productivity for all typologies, minimizing waste, pollution, environmental degradation, and of course, we are aware that green building works on basic 5 principles, which are very much correlating with our 5 elements in nature. Talking about the benefits, tangible as well as intangible benefits, we are realizing the tangible benefits with baseline consideration for almost every green building having minimum or mandatory requirements and compliances. With these mandatory compliances also, we can actually look at anticipating a huge change. Friends, we just cannot take a building which is not sufficing to also 20% saving of water. It's today a sin, and we have to take that risk of going further beyond our comfort limits and start saving more than 40% of water if we really are looking forward not to have the taps without any kind of flow of water. So India is pledging carbon neutral by 2070, and we are working for it today. We have worked for it for 2 decades, if I'm not mistaken, but with the race to go carbon neutral, we are actually looking at a very good roadmap. And of course, it's not we alone doing it. There are many other countries which are following the same pattern. It's not only construction, but as a whole, corporate sector has geared up with their company's vision, mission, and of course, going towards ESG on a larger scale. So we have been talking carbon footprinting, supply chain sustainability, certifications, net zero, green pro. We are having ESG reporting with BRSR, sustainability reporting, annual reporting with numbers known to everybody, life cycle analysis, and much more to go ahead with. So when we are talking all these ESG criteria, again, they revolve around sustainable basics, and environment, social, and governance aspects are concerned in totality towards the same. So you cannot be sustainable by just doing one part. You have to look at an integrated approach. And with this integration, when you have your design and materials also coming into picture, you will realize that almost 30% of the job is done when you have the right design and you choose the right materials. Friends, talking about sustainability and solar passive approach, we have sun path coming into picture. We are ensuring climate compatibility. We are talking of heat gains. We are talking of local materials, eco-friendly materials in the right sense. We are having thermal comfort also coming into picture and much more. Overall, the purpose remains to have the right space, right design, and right aesthetics with regards to climate and site location. A very important aspect I would definitely like to mention here for the services part is avoiding of over design. We end up doing over design because our basic design sense has weakened. If you see a few pictures which are flashing up, which are very, very commonly used and displayed in various presentations by various architects. But friends, it's time to go deeper into it. Talk about how the sun is moving. Talk about how your overall passive cooling systems are designed. You're talking of how your buildings are being shaded with the right envelope. And of course, the psychometry that comes along. When we are talking of location, orientation, it's important that we should understand the shades and shadows because they are actually playing a very, very important role when it comes to envelope design. Of course, strategies like courtyard planning, shading devices, and other play a very important role. And of course, followed by cross ventilation, which is making a good effort for heat transfer as well as giving the right air changes for a good, comfortable space. We are talking of insulation, thermal mass, and of course, many other things for which we realize that one of the major materials which is responsible for giving the right connect to the nature, right approach to the envelope, giving a modern look, and also realizing that we have a material which is not only transparent, but giving you the right insulation indoors and outdoors. Yes, friends, thus glass becomes one of the very, very important materials that we need to discuss. So, friends, as I mentioned, thus glass has its own important aspect when it comes to solar passive design as well. Because the envelope, which is not only leading to efficiency and comfort for the relevant climatic condition, it is also creating the right connect for the end user or the space occupier. Because we just cannot live in silo and cannot have a disconnect from the environment. Thus, green building design and the right materials can be actually looked at to create the power of design. Architects, it's time that we actually look at the uniqueness, functionality, purpose also, along with stereotyping our structures. We are all wanting to have that right satisfaction realized by the end users and, of course, our clients. And hence, if the structure is also cost effective, of course, it can never be cost intensive if we are talking sustainability, and it has the right happiness index, it will be long term effective. It is important to have a third party verification done because you just cannot do something and assess your own things. You should always have a third party approach and assessment to your structures, to your projects, to give you the right credential aspired. Talking of building design, friends, when we are talking building envelope on a large scale, we are actually talking of four major elements associated with it. We are talking of insulation. We are also talking of daylight. We are talking of high performance with glazing and the opaque envelope, or the skylights that are there in the structure, and of course the solar passive and overall electricity generation in case if it is happening through the passive systems. Overall, taking into account all these factors, we can anticipate reduced energy requirements, or I would say we can anticipate the right energy requirements for the project. When we are talking of ECBC codes, their compliances, or ECSBC codes, their compliances, we realize that building envelope also forms one of the major aspects in terms of overall energy efficiency. There are certain numbers which are predefined in the code. I would definitely love to also talk about ECSBC sometime soon. But for this, I think we can just continue with ECBC. And it becomes one of the most effective tools to have the right compliance coming for the right climate. Also, talking of passive design features, including renewable energy system into the overall envelope also makes a huge difference. Today, we are having structures which are having PV panels embedded in the envelope, which are acting multifaceted. Of course, we are having also PV panels which are generating from two sides, and that is how they are also taking the right change with the technological development while we are exploring to use them the right ways also in the envelope. Using renewable energy is one of the major paths towards net zero buildings, which is the next trend coming up, my friends, and hence it is important to encourage retrofit of the building also with the right options of renewable energy. Friends, this particular graph can also, this particular graph determines different climatic zones and how the ECBC compliant buildings are delivering the energy efficient way with the right reduction in percentages. We can also see that ECBC, ECBC plus and super ECBC requirements in terms of energy savings when it comes to typical buildings or the conventional buildings. So yes, taking the right compliances and choosing the right materials can give us absolute wondrous results. And if our buildings decide to go ahead with that, we can anticipate a huge chunk of energy saving by 2030, which can go up to 50%. Of course, some kind of numbers are associated with it in terms of monetary savings, peak demand reduction, and of course, the GHG abatement. It's a voluntary rating program, and there are other certification programs which are directly taking ECBC as a base for their own compliances. May it be GRIHA, BE star rating, IGBC, LEED, and even ASSOCHAM GEM for that matter will use ECBC as a reference code. Coming to the very important and most aspired material, glass, and talking to it in the Indian context. Friends, when I was told that I have to give this seminar also touching base upon ECBC and also talking about glass and retrofits or even the use of glass in any new project, talking of phases of design process, I found this very important and interesting study during my PhD, wherein it was realized that the level of design effort with energy and cost division is very, very low at the programming stage, while it is maximum at the occupancy stage. But the potential of saving in terms of cost and energy is very high during the programming stage. If this is done the right ways, occupancy stage cost and energy saving reductions are realized to be very, very low. And that is how you end up giving a lot of saving potential. So the potential goes down as you delay your overall process. It is important to intervene with the right materials at the right time, which is the program time, the design time, and taking the right BOQ into consideration right at the design phase. Also, this has been highlighted in the ECBC that when we are talking of the material glass, we have to look at solar heat gain coefficient. And when we talk fenestration, SHGC and VLT play one of the major roles in choosing the right glass for the right project and the right level of the project height. We often confuse that if the project is having ground floor glass application, maybe we use a simple glass not having the right VLT because probably sunlight will be a very difficult task to reach that place. So we are aware that we are designing in the wrong ways. So friends, it is important that we have the right angle, and I would say the angle of obstruction has to be realized right at the design stage for all buildings. Each and every window or the fenestration has the right for sunlight to come in. And definitely it's a good idea to use different kinds of glass in different faces or different levels, but it should be also matching with your compliance aspects for the project. So friends, taking the right SHGC and VLT for the right climate and the right project will make a very big difference. I want to share a very interesting case study here, which is associated with a retrofit case. This building is a very well-known building right at heart of Shivajinagar, Pune, Lokmangal building, which is nothing else but Bank of Maharashtra. So every person who's entering Pune or going out of Pune knows this landmark because this has been a pickup point for travelers for a very long duration. This 46-year-old structure is now a green landmark. When Bank of Maharashtra decided to go for a retrofit, they wanted to retain the identity of their building. And that is how they always remained with the kind of same type of envelope. The design should not change, the identity should not change, but they would definitely make a landmark building because the inner side of the building, the indoors, would actually define the greenness of the project. Today, this IGBC Gold certified project has 35.45% annual energy savings, out of which 42% of the entire connected load is coming from the solar energy generation on site. The solar PV panels, which are installed on the building terraces, are actually doing the magic. 84.55 EPI is achieved, while 100% waste segregation and management is happening. The landscape is enhanced on ground and also to create that kind of glare control, noise control, and some kind of air purification and dust control also. They have this entire entrance area covered by green walls. They have 44% annual water savings and 100% of the roof is covered with high SRI paint, also reducing the heat island effect. So, talking of envelope retrofit and ECM's working for this headquarter building of Bank of Maharashtra, the overall building, which is not more than 8,000 square meters built up, is constructed having G+3. They decided not to expand it or extend it further and create a cost-efficient envelope with the same design. Talking of the Pune climate, yes, we did a lot of study. And with that study, when we realized that being the main road, we have to understand how the sun is actually moving in the entire campus. So sun path analysis was done, wind analysis was performed, and with all these base studies, the overall envelope of the building was designed with certain strategies that were adopted. So considering the prevailing wind directions, there were certain vegetation that was proposed. It was not possible for the team to actually plant trees because it was a constructed site and they had limitations. So they actually went for a very, very huge, I would say, vessels to plant the right amount of trees. And the construction area remained the same, but it was designed to have the right landscape at the entrance area with the green patches to control glare as well as dust coming from the main road. This side glass, which is coming from the roadside, it had minimum glass, and noise barrier was one of the major aspect, and the glass chosen was with low VLT. Because the visual light transmittance coming from this side was not required looking at the inner activities as well. They have a major atrium here, and they have connected this atrium to the abutting landscape in the right ways. Another section where they did not have the sun actually causing the right impact. So the west side, I would say, the glass chosen was with high VLT and maximum glazing is realized on this side. Even the chairman cabin, the managerial cabins, they are having L-shaped glasses, and this entire zone is having the right use of glass with maximum VLT coming in. This side, which is the northeast side, to be very precise, they have another construction activity going on, and of course the land is also occupied, so there was no view possible, and due to the adjacent building, so high VLT and vision barrier is also created. But of course we need good light also coming in from this side, whatever possible. We have this parking area designed in the northwest side, and that is why this is a low-heighted area, along with some kind of ingress for light possible due to the gap. With this, also the northeast side has a lawn here, and that is why high VLT glass was utilized so that maximum light can be entering into the spaces for daylight and good working. So garden view with high VLT and partial vision barrier was chosen. So with the right approach in the choice of glass, of course, we were having the compliance in terms of glazing for the proposed case, and we could score a good amount of energy savings, which was against the baseline of ASHRAE in terms of IGBC NB as well. A few other strategies that we had: heat island consideration, roof, non-roof, both areas. We had outdoor light pollution reduction. We had building O&M also going on because it's an occupied building, and ongoing strategic working is throughout going on since many years. The EPI was realized, on-site renewable energy was realized, and of course, we have good metering system also done for the overall monitoring. Yes, the building is now all set to go towards net zero and beyond zero. And looking at all these factors, when we are actually talking of a green landmark, we realize that glass makes a big difference in the overall design. And that is how the right credentials are achieved by the project. So this is an IGBC Gold existing building, having good green features rightly displayed in the overall process. And apart from all these things, an ongoing thermal comfort survey for the occupants is a regular practice. There were addition of treated fresh air units for HVAC areas. There were CO2 monitors to check indoor air quality as well, and lots of other things with less human dependency, better surveillance, and good green credentials going towards betterment were realized. So friends, Definitely, technology brings tangibility to sustainability. And when we are retrofitting, it was realized that technology can also help us create a better module. Let's see, when we talk technology also creating better help, we ideally have started defining our paths with projections. We are going ahead with projections, and technology is aiding a faster path to our sustainable aspects. Technology, in terms of using the right software to give your projections, giving a systematic approach with monitoring, digital decarbonizations, tech accelerators, and advancing the sustainability goals, all of them with various products available in the market, giving us the right numbers with CO2 reduction and having some kind of different monitoring aspects. All of this, we realize that we can today make a digital twin out of our physical twin and represent models and manage not only our data, analyze them, and also do the corrective actions. And that is why, friends, let's give another round to another project, which is an industrial complex aspiring for LEED. Here, we have used the good software analysis technique to go to the right aspect of sustainability and achieve the maximum efficiency possible. Taking this case study further, this was a complex, industrial complex, having the new buildings coming up, abetting the existing ones as well. The challenge here lies that we take care of the entire complex and not only the new one. We have to merge the new building coming up in the entire campus and also support the existing building to go with the right sustainable modules aspiring LEED, probably platinum. So the challenge remains here, and we started with shadow analysis, not only for the new project, but the existing buildings as well. The shadow analysis actually gave us the right application strategy for the overall new building, as well as retrofitting for the previous campus buildings to have the right type of shading strategies for this climatic zone. Apart from that, we did certain wind analysis wherein we could understand that certain climate, we need winds from these sites to support our structure. Being a manufacturing unit, we had a lot of limitations when it came for overall use of winds and air changes. So ventilation was designed with the right aspect, understanding the overall wind movement in the overall process of the campus. And when this was done, prevalent wind directions or prominent wind directions, as we identify, were taken into consideration. We did propose certain windmills also, which were permitted in such kind of zones. And we could actually analyze the renewable aspect for wind as well as solar part here in this particular project. Taking daylight into consideration in depth, we had to take up individual spaces, their activity requirements for daylight, and accordingly the lux levels were defined and designed. Taking urban heat island into consideration, universal thermal climatic index was studied, and we could actually identify the overall reduction in the site temperatures. So friends, being in our country, we often talk of reducing the temperatures to attain the comfort zone. But going into other climatic zones, we also need to understand that do we really need to only reduce the temperatures or balance them? This challenge here remained to balance the temperatures in this overall campus. Hence, of course, land planning strategies also came into picture here, and they were studied with the right aspects. Talking of solar radiation analysis, which was performed so that we could suggest them the right envelope for the overall new building as well as retrofitting of the old building. It was done and it was studied with the overall performance of this particular simulation software. So friends, taking this project and going further, we realize that overall campus can give you a very, very efficient working when it takes the right glass into choice, and overall material aspect is also looked into, giving a perfect envelope. So as we continue towards the next very interesting project, one project which started being IGBC new buildings, and it did not have enough amenities, and that is why they lost on the platinum rating and they landed up in the gold rating. But the clients were never satisfied. They said, let us go, wait for a year and go for existing buildings with platinum. And not only stopping at platinum existing buildings, they are now on their journey towards triple net zero. Well, they are on their journey of certification for triple net zero, but the project is running triple net zero since a very long time, since its inception. Location is in Pune, not a very huge project, but handling a very, very important logo with it. It's BMW Service Center by Bavaria Motors. If you see the energy consumption reduction only through solar passive design and right choice of glass was 20%. Water consumption was reduced to 60% against the baseline. Well, they don't take any water from outside. It is a well which is actually giving the water to the project, and well also recharging and soaking back that water coming from the rain side. This project has renewable energy installed on site with 105 kilowatt, taking care of 100% energy demand in the building. The rating achieved is platinum for existing buildings, and they are already on their journey towards net zero. Talking of their ground floor plan, I am just trying to highlight that how glass can actually take a big leap in the overall design. Few activities that were planned, which were required to have air conditioning, were actually in the west side. And with this, when we decided to go with these spaces in the south, they were semi-air conditioned, or I would say mixed mode ventilation. Apart from that, when we just saw the air movement in the overall project, there were treated fresh air inlets given from the predominant wind directions, and natural ventilation for all the other areas was well designed. And when we are talking of natural ventilation, there was ensured cross ventilation also happening with area divisions. So entrance buffer, tree shades, canopy, glass maze are few important strategies when it comes to solar passive design for this project. So this important elevation was created with a maze of glass having different emphasis. And with we have seen the plan definitely, but as we go on the elevation side for G+3, there were different zones in the overall project, which were having HVAC zones, which were having shop floor, which were having service floors for the cars, and some were just parking or treatment in terms of some kind of grease working or automation working or something like that. So this entire project was divided in the zones, and according to zones, wherever HVAC zones were there, the glass with high SHGC was used, where VLT was slightly reduced, while the shop floor or the parking floor, service floor, where there was no HVAC and only ventilation was prevailing, the VLT was made high for that particular glass. If you see the overall use here, the glass elevation was used with emphasis consideration. Of course, I'm sorry, but a very, very prominent company glass was used here. I cannot take the name, but I have definitely mentioned the SHGC and VLT. You can see the reduced VLT for the glass and overall summary that was also performed before designing this particular building. So anticipated 34% savings were realized with the use of right glass and the overall solar passive design aspect. If we see the investment they have done in the green features, including the renewable energy, this sheet definitely plays a very, very important role here because building is operational since June 2017. And with the renewable energy and 100% units going with the renewable energy today, the project is energy positive. That means it is generating more units, 1,800 units more per month since August 18, and there's a no bill for them for a lifetime. So coming to that, it was a 55-month payback period, considering the STP as well. 45 months for surplus energy production, approximate 4 years payback. From June 22, the project is cost neutral and energy positive. Ideally, a net zero project for energy, water, and waste since 2019. And yes, the developer is still looking for scope for improvement. So friends, such project actually create a good landmark and an example for many, many architects like us. So one of our finest and esteemed project, this is BMW Service Center by Bavaria Motors. So 2 certificates, somehow the other certificate is not being displayed, but 2 certificates for the project. One is IGBC Gold with new buildings, IGBC Platinum with existing buildings, and now going up with the net zero. Talking of integration of renewable energy with glass. Friends, we are talking of BIPV, that is Building Integrated Photovoltaic, for a long time now. We have seen many projects abroad as well as few in the country going with this kind of system. One of our important part becomes that PV system, when integrated in the building, gets a permanent status. It is a very good option when it comes to retrofitting. It gives you framed modules. PV tiles also are available. It's available in the form of laminates, transparent PV, semi-transparent, thin film, and many other options are there. And it also helps us utilize the terrace space in the efficient way if we are trying to integrate it with the envelope. Aesthetics, of course, will matter, and that is how you have to create that skill of integrating PV in the aesthetics. Climate control remains, ecological experience and appearance of the building gives you the right essence of PV, and of course, the reduced energy consumption. Talking of PV, I'm glad to share this picture here, which is having a 2-sided PV generation module. And it's a very nice way of actually depicting solar PV and having the same utility of space, same kind of impact, but enhanced generation. Our CII building in Hyderabad displays double-sided PV generation modules, and that remains, of course, one of the best examples in the country when it comes to any green building or net zero building as well. So India's first net zero project, which is having a complete circle and also trying to integrate solar PV in the envelope, remains CII Hyderabad. Friends, this building is a landmark and quite open for everybody to see. My special appeal to the students that please, if you are going to Hyderabad, make it a point to visit this place and definitely have a detailed look around. It's the Green Business Center by CII Godrej. Well, talking of technology support once again, the renewable energy does not confine to solar PV and wind, but it also extends to another set entirely and should be explored to the best possible area in your project as and what is feasible and applicable. Friends, it's important way forward. We have to talk of sustainability with technology. Built environment also we are looking at, human environment we are looking at, and comfortable built environment aspects we should never ever regret, because another important factor of time also plays with it. So friends, build comfortable environment, consider time as an important element. Be in control, simulate people, and of course, look at all the possible options where you can create the best possible efficiency. This diagram definitely explains about the digital twin and how various aspects can be studied when it comes to overall technology management in a project. Creating digital twins, yes, it becomes one of the important factors today, and we have to realize its definite benefits also. Looking at the trend, and for architects, designers, sustainable design is an approach that connects building occupants more closely to nature, and that is how biophilic designs are also coming up as one of the major aspects today. Having a resilient approach. Consultants and engineers, we have to look at nature to resolve our service related issues, because probably nature gives you a solution for almost everything which is available to us or which is coming up as a challenge. We all aim to fight climate change, pollution, reduce carbon dioxide emissions, help counteract loss of species, support organic ingredients, save trees, promote 3 Rs, that is reduce, reuse, recycle, and overall develop a mutual enhancement for human-earth relationship. With this, now it's time to go net zero in terms of water, energy, and overall impact. Of course, waste also coming into picture, and talking of net zero carbon. And when we are talking of all these aspects with sustainability, social sustainability, economical sustainability, environment sustainability, also important to work with end user focus and talk of human sustainability. So friends, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm glad to talk to all of you and also mention a very, very important message that tangible is impactful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for that enlightening and comprehensive presentation. Your deep insights into sustainability and the pivotal role of glass in the Indian context have left us inspired and better informed. From understanding the key drivers of sustainability and the essential features of green buildings like energy, water, and material efficiency, to exploring real-life examples of how retrofitting can transform aging structures into green landmarks, your session has been a truly eye-opening one. So we truly appreciate the depth of knowledge and the real-world solutions you share today with us. And we have learned so much, and yet there is so much more curiosity. So I would like to take this opportunity to ask you a few questions.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And I think, Anvita, with your initiative to go ahead with such presentations, the most important sector that's going to benefit is your next generation. And for students, this is going to be a real treat, having such sessions. And I think Glass Academy, Ethos, and Enlightened Spaces, all of you are doing a wonderful job. Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Really means a lot. So moving on, in your experience, what are some of the most significant challenges faced during retrofitting projects, particularly in older structures, and how can they be mitigated?
So when we talk of retrofit, and especially retrofit of a building which is having the occupancy and working going on, that comes up to be one of the major challenges, because people don't want to move out of their comfort zone. They want to continue working in the same way. And when a designer or a contractor is telling them that they are probably looking at an enhanced or better space, they have their own demands. And their demands are self-centric and not for the entire company or I would say organization, because they are looking at their comfort. And believe me, if the designer is actually making them comfortable and understanding their needs also, probably changing their spaces, changing their zoning in while they are sitting, or just giving them a better experience, understanding their needs and taking a regular feedback, that will overcome this very, very important challenge. The second important challenge I would definitely mention that comes is actually executing the work. And older buildings have to be assessed for their structural integrity also. And repairs and renovation is always a headache. So yes, that's a challenge. And to overcome it, I would say work from home for particular sectors and moving out of the box ideas, that can help overcome such challenges also. And the third part I would mention about retrofit and sustainability. Because when we are talking sustainability, it is not being talked as a patch which is coming on separately. It's an integrated part of design. It's an integral part of actually purchasing your materials, choosing your services rightly, and making your designs efficient from the core. So it's not a separate part, but the implementation or operation and maintenance for sustainability often emerges as a challenge when it comes to retrofitting projects, because people are anticipating that to be one of the new projects later on after retrofit. They are looking at the project as a new one, and probably they are looking at why we get so less water in the taps, why we have the limitation of the lux level. We just want good lights around us. So we have to give the right awareness sessions to them. We have to train the staff for O&M. I think if all these aspects are taken into consideration, it's quite easy to go ahead with an efficient project. Thank you.
Definitely. With well noted, with the matter of communication matters a lot apart from the technical skill set we bring as designers or experts. So moving on, I would like to ask another question related to biophilic design, as it's gaining traction every single day we go forward. How do you think glass can play a role in creating healthier, more visually connecting environments, especially in high density urban settings that are been happening since our evolution of urban landscape?
So today, if you see, people are going higher and higher, and the use of glass is also going wider. The windows, which were previously, limited to a certain dimension, they have now taken the place of entire wall, leaving out, the beams and columns. I think people have just replaced entire wall with glass. And the important fact here remains the connect to the environment. So it is like, there's a cycle that goes along, that we need to be connected to the environment. We need to see what's happening. We should have a good view. We should be able to see the world from one level. And that is why glass, the transparency part of it when it comes to commercial projects. So if you see Hyderabad, entire tech area, or what you call the cyber city. So in that high-tech area, so in that entire area, you will see the use of glass is with such precision that person going through the road can actually see who is sitting in which office and working. Of course, you don't realize because it's quite far, but that visual connect again remains. That is giving an indirect message that IT people work 24/7, and also giving a message that, okay, we are on, we are working, we are not closed. So there are various messages ideally given through glass. And when we relate it to a biophilic type of design, probably the transparency part of it or the connect to the nature part of it is, I think, achieved only through this material called glass.
And also, ma'am, moving forward, you touched upon the concept of resilient design. So, how do you see resilience intersecting with sustainability in the face of challenges like extreme climate change that we spoke about and rapid urbanization that's happening and bound to happen in future as
I think resilience is no separate thing than sustainability. It's very much an integral part. We have to understand that the basic or the core substances go into a project that have to be resilient. And when we talk of resilience, probably we have lost our own human resilience to nature. And that is why we have shifted to alternatives in terms of excessive service design. So when I realized that last April, Pune was facing around 25 to 30 days with extreme heat, and the rise in HVAC purchases during that time was noted 22% high in the market. So these numbers were mind-boggling. Like, people cannot sustain slightly higher temperatures for even 30 days. And that is how they end up purchasing the alternatives which can keep them comfortable. So we have lost our human resilience. And when we ask our buildings to be resilient, we are actually looking only at extreme temperatures or extreme conditions. We have to start also taking comfort zones or comfort hours into consideration. We can definitely tolerate few hours of discomfort. Probably we need to have alternative arrangements for that. And it's important that we don't have sealed buildings. We have good cross ventilation and solar passive design, because that will create the balance what is required here. Having the right material specifications in terms of envelope can also make a very, very huge difference. So outside temperatures and the temperatures inside the space, the difference can actually create the gap that is required for resilience.
And the other question that we all wanted to know is the importance of life cycle costing. Like you've mentioned in very detailed in your presentation about how important it is to be addressed and how the myths should be busted with respect to the long-term benefits. So how does glass as a material stand out in terms of long-term sustainability and economic benefits? If you could decode in simple language for us.
So when we are talking of glass as a material for long-term sustainability, uh, I mean, we have to define the term here, because glass doesn't go independently or separately. It's a part of envelope. So it's a complete envelope that is being sustainable, or I would say with the long-term life cycle impact. So when we are talking envelope, we are talking opaque part, we are talking transparent part, we are talking of skylights or whatever shading devices are accompanying it, and everything and anything which is relating to that, including the paint that goes in the opaque part, or the film, or the specification of the glass. When we are talking long-term sustainability, we have to also understand the life of the building in terms of years has really, really gone down. It's decreased because we are going higher, we are having different materials, and we are aspiring better and better technology to assist us in our living techniques. If we are not having a lift today in our project, probably though it can be just G+4, still it is not a very, very comfortable design for a few. People are aspiring for all the technological aspects to assist the envelope and the other aspects. So it's an integration of the right services, the right technology, the right envelope, and along with that, the activity that is planned in that space. So all of it will actually affect the life cycle analysis. And we just cannot have LCA consideration also in terms of only and only carbon emission. We have to look at a wider aspect from where these materials are getting procured, where are the emissions happening also in terms of scope 2 and 3, and having a wider angle to it. So yes, LCA is very, very important and to be considered in our working nowadays.
Now that we spoke about technology, like it's transforming the way we approach sustainability, rightly mentioned. So we would like to know from your eyes, what are the emerging tools or innovations you believe have the most significant impact on sustainable architecture in the coming years or have been implemented now?
I did mention about creating a digital twin in my presentation. And talking of softwares with BIM coming up massive way, having a design and services integrated towards the same assessment module. Along with that, having the climate integrated in the same assessment module. So we have been using simulation tools. Now, these simulation tools, they are running on certain engines. Now, if I have to give you an example, eQuest is one of the tools that we are using. And we can actually module the entire building with right materials, right services, and also take the climate connect to it and have the analysis in terms of energy consumption, daylight, the ventilation aspects, and many other aspects. Of course, different softwares will give you different analysis, but these softwares help us analyze and also add on to energy conserving measures. So I can always change the material specification and check whether I'm getting any benefit out of it. I can change the size of the impact portion. For example, glass, which is say only for 5 feet window, I can make it 6 feet and check how it is impacting better or probably on the adverse factor. So I think softwares are today really making a good impact for all these kind of analysis. And I think BIM coming up in a very, very large way.
And moving to the end of the webinar, what advice would you give young architects and designers like graduates who are just passing out, who want to know and specialize in sustainable architecture, especially in a rapidly evolving industry like ours? What would be your piece of advice to them?
So people who are actually entering this field of sustainability, let me tell them, you are not entering, you have been living in this particular aspect. You just have to do it consciously. Avoid washing and be very careful in whatever you are doing, because start calculating impacts. When we are talking impacts, we are actually talking numbers. We are talking projections. We are talking numbers. We are talking any kind of savings or baseline comparisons. We are again talking numbers. So important that we go with the right numbers, the right ways, and not exploring incomplete things. If you say that, okay, I am doing rainwater harvesting, I am sustainable. No, it is not just one aspect that is coming to it. It's an integrated, overall, wholesome effort. So when you're talking sustainability, you have to understand you are talking each and every aspect related to it. And it's important that you start considering time as another important aspect and end user focus as the last and most important aspect to it. So I hope I'm able to convince the next generation to actually step up consciously in this field. I'm
sure.
really looking forward to it.
Yes. And the last question for the day is, what do you think are the most critical steps for the Indian construction industry to accelerate its journey towards net zero by 2070? And how can individuals contribute to this large mission?
Well, I don't think so. I would be so pessimistic about it, because if we decide 2070, we can be definitely going the right ways. And we all have to work towards it. And it's time we start working towards it, because we just cannot keep thinking, okay, this person will do it, ya ye kar lega nahi. It's time for us to act, and we can definitely achieve this goal. And going further, most important step remains that, again, start talking numbers and be bold on buildings. This has been the message from COP29, and I would just like to reiterate the same message. Be bold on buildings, start making impacts.
Wonderful, ma'am. So this brings us to the end of today's webinar, and thank you so much for this exceptional presentation that brought so much knowledge to us and also patiently answering all the questions we may have. And your thoughtful exploration of topics such as key drivers for sustainability, green building features, India's pledge to net zero, and integration of solar passive strategies and ESG principles has truly been inspiring to understand and to start nudging people in the right direction. So the concept of sustainability and the real world retrofitted examples like transforming a 46-year-old structure into a green landmark has given us practical solutions and a vision for the future that it's doable. So your presentation also broadened our horizons and inspired us to rethink our approach to sustainable design and not just use the word sustainability easily. So on behalf of Glass Academy and Ethos Empowers, we extend heartfelt thanks to you, ma'am. Thank you very much for taking out your time.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful experience. Thank you.
Thank you.